shot for Randy Smith. Randy should take it to the wall for 227. Jon Gant would need the first one in a 10. He has to strike. Got to have it.
And he does have it. A strike in the 10th. So Randy Smith with 2 more can finish out with a 227, as Dave said.
He has to have this one too, Fred. You've got to have the first one in the 10th, and he knows that he needs it, and he throws this ball as well as anything. Look at the reaction on this. No deflection. Every pin doing its job. Again, good shot, but it's no good without this one. We have to have another strike from Randy right now.
We do have another one. So Randy Smith now with 3 in the row. One more, and he'll be in very good shape.
Well, not really in very good shape, Fred, but at least in position to force Jon Gant to do something in the 10th frame. As we pointed out last week, the all-important 9th and 10th frame, you can pick up a quick 60 pins with a 4-bagger. Randy Smith, this is a count. Now, he better not relax because count is 2 pins. He needs all he can get right here.
And he got all you can get. A 227 for Randy Smith. And let's watch him as he gets that lift out there. Beautiful shot. Boom. All of them down, and he loves it.
Possibility here. Jon Gant, if he goes 9's fair, 9, we have a tie game. If he strikes, the match is over right now.
So Jon Gant with a strike in the 10th frame finishes Randy Smith's hopes of advancing here on the BPA King of Bowling.
It will be at least in the 230s, Fred, and Jon Gant has answered the call almost every time that we've watched him here on the show, and that ball being no exception.
Outstanding bowler, a double in the 10th, and he just continues to roll. Bill Ryan Jr. is in the clubhouse now as our top qualifier with a 724. Terry Ciccone, who we saw a couple of weeks ago with a 713, along with Jon Gant with a 713 in the qualifying already. The low to cash was 588, so get on out there and try to beat that. Liz Bowdy as the top woman in there with a 583. Low to cash for the women was 547. Jon Gant with 9 on his last ball of this game, and Randy Smith the first to give Jon congratulations. And in our next game, we will have another great match, so be sure and stay with us. Rick Pollard will meet Jon Gant, and you see Jon Gant's winning score there of 248. We've got another great game coming up for you next. .22, Dave.
Very good is understatement, Fred. This guy is incredible.
He finds his mark right away with a strike. Dave, tell us a little bit about this young bowler.
He uses a lot of wrist and a lot of fingers, a lot of snap, high back swing. You'll see here, really gets through the ball strong, and that's how he creates that action on the ball, very similar to a Jon Gant roll. Breaking up the split there, going high on the lane he was more comfortable with in the first game. Jon Gant, we might point out, was a member of the team that established the new city record for 35.79 was their total. September 30th, 1982, the Cheyenne Social Club was the team, and that's one heck of a total, Fred. 35.79. That beat my old record on the team I used to bowl with of 35.65, which held up for about a couple of years in this very house. So we're in a high-scoring house. This house has had the city high game record now for quite a few years. Other members of the team: Kevin Johnson, Rick Martin, Steve Bunnell, and Dave Hines.
And here's Jon Gant, second frame. Mixing action, but leaves one.
Again, Jon Gant is going to have to get lined up to beat this young man. Rick Pollard is no slouch. So far, age 22, he's had 6 300 games and 2 830-something games. He's got 800 down on his sheet, but I know they were 830-something.
He hit an 831 right here at Walt Center Lanes in Newport. And that's not a bad score. He's been on the show before, about 4 times.
He is a seasoned veteran.
Never been the king, though, and I'm sure he would like that honor as you see Jon Gant score in the first 2 frames. Here's Rick Pollard. He wears a pad on his right hand.
Not actually a pad, a little bit of a pad,
I shook hands with him, it felt like it.
But it is to help him with his tendonitis. Watch that incredibly strong ball. He works the ball a lot, and what I mean by working the ball is there's a lot of wrist action, a lot of wrist snap, which, as anyone knows, the tendons that lead from the hand up the arm. I mean, you've got 16 pounds coming through with a velocity of maybe 15 to 16 miles per hour, being lifted out onto the lane with nothing but your 2 middle fingers and your wrist, and all this creates a lot of stress. But
3 in a row.
But it creates a lot of pin action too, Fred.
Rick Pollard starting the game in fine fashion with a turkey, and let's watch this again.
We're going to see some strong pin action from the behind the pitch this time, watching his ball entering the pocket lightly, throwing pins all over the place, just looking for something else to knock down.
Great camera angle.
Jon Gant on his lane, the right lane that will help him win this game if he is to defeat Mr. Pollard.
Rick Pollard averages 210. We already told you he's bowled 6 300 games, a couple of 800 series. 6 times a week.
Oh, he's a strong bowler. He bowls a lot. His father owns a bowling establishment down in Indiana, and he has an opportunity to practice all the time, and that's how he's developed the strong style that he has.
Breaks up the split. Jon Gant
does break up the split. That was a marginal shot, Fred. It could have been a strike. It could have been a split. It was neither. Turns into a single pin spare. The ball is a quarter of an inch away from being a perfect strike. Sharp angle. John likes it. Watch the head pin go to the wall, just nipping out the 6 pin. Shooting his spare. Proprietor here at Walt Center Lanes is Pete Wagner. His wife Dottie Wagner is in the crowd here somewhere. Might point out that we're bowling on synthetic lanes today, as last week at Madison, Fred. A lot of the establishments are starting to go to that down, and it's the up-and-coming thing. This is actually plastic, not wood.
Rookie!
He better smile.
4 in a row now for Rick Pollard. Let's look at that one again as it just goes right by the head pin.
Watch it. He throws. He knows he threw a bad ball. Oh no! What did I do? Look at this. He pulls it back with his left hand. That's a lefty side. Might as well pull back with the left hand.
Working on 4 in a row. Rick Pollard goes for 5 on the left lane.
Now the big flirt to capitalize on a break.
Bingo! 5 in a row now for Rick Pollard, putting the pressure on Jon Gant.
We're going to watch Rick Pollard throw a very strong ball here. Gets out of it very cleanly. Good extension. Good follow through. No deflection. 10 pins in the pit.
Back to live action and Jon Gant. Bingo.
Also 10 pins in the pit. I'd like to point out the Bowl Down Cancer Finals will be here on March 26th and 7th as we look at Rick Pollard perfect through 5. I think you saw the come out on the TV set there, Fred.
Well,
I'd like to give one away. I really would.
Be a nice gift.
Jon Gant, left lane. Let's see if he can double up here. And he does.
A little duet there.
Yeah, really. I'll take this act on the road. Fred, like I said, the bowl down cancers here is March 26th and 7th. Call Glenn Schmidt Lanes for the reservation times as we watch Jon Gant throw a perfectly thrown shot from the in-the-pit camera. Look at his pins bouncing around back there.
It's going to break the lens. Here's Rick Pollard. The ball was wide. Way too light.
After, again, we're going to see this many times.
Jinxed him.
Even in good jinxed him, yeah. Even in good bowlers, an overcorrection is a very common thing. Last time he pulled the ball very bad on this lane. Went Brooklyn, got a very good break for a strike. That time he tried to make the correction, allow for a little more hook, a little more roll. The ball not getting back. This is not an easy spare, Fred.
But he did fill it up. An important spare for Rick Pollard.
Now, even though he makes it spare, Fred, this is not the ideal way you want to make it. You actually want to place the ball between the 2-pin and the 5-pin and let the 2 take out the 4. Not see him pointing with his finger. Get over there.
There's the score. Pretty sizable lead.
Almost 30 pins. Did not come out of that ball well at all. He was well on the side of the ball, creating a spinning type of reaction, which caused the ball to go longer and hit much, much weaker, as we're going to see here on the replay, Fred. So notice the ball skidding. It's going to deflect when it hits the head pin, goes to the right. 6-pin just goes in the change side.
Thought he makes his spare, so after 5 consecutive strikes, Rick Pollard now has 2 spares. The count of 7 and 9. And now Jon Gant, working on a double, is in the 7th frame, and he's on the right lane. One that's been very nice to Jon Gant.
Yes, and he's comfortable on it. He knows what he has to do. He has to strike. And Jon Gant can strike.
Not enough action that time.
Going high, busting up the split. The tips this week are going to be on splits. So far, we've only had a couple to look at, none of which were made. But last week, we saw that one made by Jon Gant to open the show. It was a beautiful shot. He'll shoot cross lane again, an easy spare for Jon Gant.
Jon Gant trying to cut that lead built up by Rick Pollard. So Jon is now in the 8th frame, and he's trailing by 28 pins. You see it.
Yep, 28 pins. He has to get back into the match by throwing a couple of X's here. He wants to make Rick think about his final and finishing frames with a strike here, knowing that Jon Gant can throw consecutive strikes at any time. He wants to give Rick something to think about on this ball.
And he did with a strike right there. That gives him a 148 in the 7th frame.
We're going to watch Jon Gant's setup here, Fred. He knows it's a big shot. He has to have it. Throws the ball very cleanly. He reacts to the excellent execution. We're back to live on the right lane. Rick Pollard, solid 8-pin. I can't believe it.
That one just slid right in the pit. Man,
unbelievable. Threw the ball where it had to be. After 2 poor shots on the right lane, coming back, making an excellent execution for a bad break. Solid 8-pin. Hopefully an easy spare for Rick to maintain his lead. I'd like to mention the Pete Wagner Marathon Tournament starts here on March the 20th.
It's unbelievable.
Right here at Waltz Lanes. The cost is $67. The format, Fred?
16 games across 32 lanes.
We're going to have a Red Cross unit here to pull out the people that can't make the marathon. Call Pete here at Waltz for your reservations. It's a fun tournament. I bowled in it last year.
Rick Pollard back on the mark with a strike in the 9th frame. He needed that badly.
A lot of head games going on out there right now. Each player knowing what the other player has to do and to force the other player into a situation where he may make a mistake. Rick Pollard throws his ball as strong as you can. 10 pins in the pit.
Live action in Jon Gant. And Jon Gant knocked all 10 down.
A late break on the 10-pin, but again, with his incredible speed rotation and power. He created a little more area, a little more pin action. Jon Gant now has a double working, a very, very important double. Should he take it to the wall for a 238, it would force Rick Pollard to mark, actually to get the first one in the 10th again.
Jon Gant, his first ball, 10th frame.
Has to have it, Fred. Has to have it.
And he's got it. So Gant, with that turkey, now has a 178 in the 8th.
Okay. Knowing that he needs this shot, throws the ball well, and from the back we're going to see what this ball does. It just rips the pins in pieces. Everything going everywhere. Nothing could have possibly stood up. We've got a match here. With this ball right here, Fred, we have got a match. Ooh, just sliding across. That would have really put the hammer on Rick Pollard. We're going to catch a pin coming off the wall, just missing his 6th pin. Here we watch the ball going down the lane, into the wall, just missing. He's got a spare up.
So Jon Gant finishes with a 227.
All Rick Pollard has to do is stay on the lane. No, actually, he's got a mark. My mistake, Fred. I'm sorry. He has to mark. He has got to bring this one back to win this match. I had a mistake on my scorecard.
Well, would this be something?
He has to have this spare. Now, it's not a difficult spare. If he had another combination pin with it, it would be. But this is a pocket shot. It's a 1-2. I project no problems here whatsoever, but he does have to have it. The winner of the second match, Rick Pollard.
2 great matches so far. It seems to get better and better every week.
Incredible bowling, and in this city you will continue to see incredible bowling. All he needs on this ball is 3 pins to win. If he doesn't hit his ankle or throw it in the gutter, Rick Pollard wins the match.
And Rick Pollard has defeated Jon Gant, but look for Mr. Gant to be back on the show again next week. Rick Pollard with a 233, Jon Gant with a 227, and that sets up a great championship match between Rick Pollard and our king, Bill Heflin. And it's all coming up next.